The alien palace floated above a blue gas world like a silent god. Its walls were tall and bright, made of living metal that softly glowed. Inside the palace, power ruled everything. Royal guards moved with sharp steps, machines watched every corner. This was a place where fear and respect walked together. Among all this power, one human worked in silence. His name was Ethan. He was a janitor, hired to clean the lowest halls of the palace. No one cared to remember his name. To the aliens, he was just a weak human, easy to ignore. Ethan pushed his cleaning cart across the golden floor. His clothes were simple and old. His hands were rough from hard work. He kept his eyes low, as humans were taught to do here. Looking at the wrong alien could bring punishment. Alien nobles passed him without a glance. Some laughed softly. Some looked at him with quiet disgust. To them, humans were nothing more than tools. Useful only for small jobs. Ethan had learned not to react. He cleaned, he moved on. That was how he survived. But today felt different. The air inside the palace felt heavy. Like something unseen was watching him. As he cleaned near the central hall, he felt a strange warmth in his chest. It was not fear. It felt like a soft pull, calling him forward. He stopped for a moment. He looked around. The hall was empty. Only tall pillars and glowing walls surrounded him. Then he heard it. A soft voice, calm and gentle. It spoke his name. Ethan froze. No alien had ever spoken his name before. He looked left, then right. No one was there. His heart began to beat faster. He told himself it was just his mind. Long hours of work could do that. He picked up his cloth and kept cleaning. As he moved closer to the center of the hall, the warmth grew stronger. The voice returned, clearer this time. It did not sound like words spoken aloud. It sounded like it was inside his thoughts. "Do not be afraid," the voice seemed to say. Ethan's hands shook. He had heard stories. Humans who claimed to hear voices often disappeared. Still, something inside him told him not to run. High above the hall, hidden behind a silver balcony, the alien princess watched. Her name was Lyra. She was nothing like the other royals. Her eyes were curious, not cruel. Her mind was sharp, but her heart was restless. For many cycles, she had felt something missing. The palace was full of power, yet empty to her. But when the human janitor entered the hall, something changed. She felt it instantly. A quiet energy, warm and alive. It flowed from the human like light behind a shadow. She had never felt this from her own kind. Lyra leaned forward, watching Ethan closely. He moved with care, not fear. He did his work with honesty, not pride. That alone surprised her. As Ethan cleaned, the palace walls reacted. The soft glow grew brighter where he passed. Hidden systems deep inside the structure began to stir. Alarms did not sound. But the palace noticed him. Lyra felt a shock of fear and wonder. If the council discovered this, the human would be killed without question. Humans were not allowed near the core halls. And yet, the palace itself seemed to welcome him. Ethan suddenly felt dizzy. He leaned against his cart, breathing slowly. The warmth spread through his body, calming him. The fear faded, replaced by a strange peace. He looked up. For the first time, his eyes met hers. The distance between them was great. But the connection felt close. Lyra felt as if he could see her soul. Ethan felt as if someone finally saw him. Their moment was broken by distant footsteps. Royal guards entered the far end of the hall. Their armor clicked sharply against the floor. Lyra stepped back into the shadows. Her heart raced. She had made a choice, even if she did not yet understand it. Ethan lowered his eyes again. The warmth faded, but it did not disappear. It stayed like a promise. As the guards passed, one of them paused. He looked at Ethan with narrow eyes. The palace lights flickered softly above them. Something had changed. The guards felt it. The princess knew it. And deep inside, Ethan felt it too. The human janitor did not know it yet. But the palace had noticed him. and his simple life was about to end. Ethan finished his work in the central hall and slowly pushed his cart away. His mind was not calm anymore. The voice, the warmth, the strange look from the guards. Everything stayed with him. He returned to the lower service tunnels where humans were kept. The lights were dim and the walls were cold. Other human workers sat quietly, tired and silent. No one spoke much here. Ethan tried to rest, but his thoughts would not stop. Every time he closed his eyes, he saw the glowing hall and the balcony. He wondered if the princess was real or just a dream. Not long after, a metal drone entered the tunnel. Its red light scanned the humans one by one. When it reached Ethan, it stopped. A calm artificial voice spoke. "Human Ethan, you are ordered to follow." The tunnel went silent. All eyes turned toward him. Fear filled the air. Ethan's heart dropped. Orders usually meant punishment. Or worse. But running was impossible. 2 guards arrived and stood beside him. They did not touch him. That alone felt strange. Humans were usually pushed or dragged. Ethan followed them through halls he had never seen before. The walls changed color as they passed. The air smelled clean and fresh. This was the upper palace. Finally, they stopped before a tall door covered in living vines. The guards stepped back. The door opened on its own. Inside was a garden. Soft glowing plants floated gently in the air. Water moved without sound. The place felt alive. Ethan stood frozen. No human had ever entered a royal space like this. A gentle voice spoke behind him. "You are not afraid." He turned slowly. The princess stood there, alone. Up close, she looked even more unreal. Her presence felt calm, not dangerous. Ethan lowered his head. "I am afraid," he said softly. "But I do not feel threatened." That answer surprised her. Most beings lied to her. This human did not. She walked closer. As she did, the garden lights grew brighter. The plants leaned toward Ethan. Lyra watched carefully. The reaction was clear now. This was no accident. She asked him simple questions. About Earth. About his life. About why he cleaned with such care. Ethan answered honestly. He spoke of long days. Of surviving quietly. Of doing small things the right way. Each word pulled her deeper. This human had no hidden hunger for power. Only quiet strength. Suddenly, the ground beneath them pulsed. The garden trembled slightly. Ethan felt the warmth again, stronger than before. Deep within the palace, ancient systems awakened. Energy moved toward the garden. Sensors spiked. Control rooms lit up with warnings. Alien technicians stared in confusion. The palace core was reacting. But no threat was detected. Lyra felt fear rise in her chest. If the council traced this reaction to Ethan, they would destroy him without delay. She stepped closer to him. "Listen carefully," she said. "You must not tell anyone about this place." Ethan nodded. He did not fully understand. But he trusted her. Footsteps echoed outside the garden. Voices approached. Council members were nearby. Lyra moved fast. She pressed a symbol into the air. The garden faded around them. Hidden walls closed. Ethan found himself standing alone in a quiet service corridor. The warmth slowly faded again. A final whisper touched his mind. "Stay alive." As he returned to his quarters, the palace lights flickered across many levels. The council felt something was wrong. The core continued to hum softly. Far away, in the highest chamber, Lyra looked out into space. She had seen truth in a place no one expected. And she knew one thing for certain. The human janitor was no longer invisible. And the palace would never be the same again. The palace did not sleep that cycle. Hidden sensors continued to pulse. Energy flowed where it never had before. Deep inside the core, something ancient had awakened. Ethan tried to act normal the next day. He cleaned the lower halls as always. But the warmth returned again and again. Stronger now, more focused. Like the palace itself was guiding him. Other humans noticed the change. Not in the palace, but in Ethan. He walked straighter. His eyes were clearer. Fear no longer ruled his steps. High above, the council gathered. Tall figures surrounded a floating light map of the palace. Energy lines glowed in strange patterns. None of them made sense. "This reaction matches no known system," one council member said. "It behaves as if responding to a living mind," another replied. They did not like this. Things they could not control made them uneasy. Security orders were sent quietly. Find the source. Remove it. Patrols increased. Drones scanned deeper levels. The palace became tense. Ethan felt it. The warmth turned sharp. Like a warning. As he cleaned near an old sealed corridor, the lights shifted color. The door at the end of the hall opened slightly. No alarm sounded. No command was given. His hands froze. Humans were forbidden from this area. Punishment was certain. But the warmth pulled him forward. Not forcing. Inviting. Ethan took a step. Then another. His heart raced, but he did not stop. Inside the corridor, the walls were older, covered in symbols worn by time. The air felt heavy with memory. As he walked, images filled his mind. Stars forming. Worlds burning. Voices speaking in harmony, not sound. He dropped to his knees, gasping. The warmth exploded through him. Not pain. Understanding. Far away, Lyra felt it instantly. She stood up from her chamber. Fear and hope crashing together. She knew the council would sense this too. And they did. Alarms rang at last. Not loud, but deep. The kind that meant something had gone terribly wrong. Guards rushed through halls. Orders shouted. Weapons armed. Ethan stood alone in the corridor, shaking. The symbols on the walls glowed softly, responding to him. A voice filled the space, not one voice but many. Old, calm, endless. "You are seen." Tears filled Ethan's eyes. He did not know why. But he felt accepted. The guards arrived. Weapons raised. Fear in their eyes. Before they could act, Lyra stepped between them. Her presence froze the hall. Royal authority burned in her voice. "He is under my protection," she said. The guards hesitated. No one challenged a princess. But fear of the council was strong. The corridor shook gently. Energy flowed outward. The palace itself responded to Ethan's presence. Screens across the palace lit up. Data streams flooded control rooms. One truth became clear. The palace was not reacting to technology. It was reacting to a human. Silence followed. A heavy, dangerous silence. Lyra looked at Ethan. Her eyes full of questions and resolve. "You must trust me," she said softly. He nodded. He had already crossed the point of return. Together, they stood as the palace hummed around them. The council watched. The guards waited. The galaxy shifted. Somewhere beyond known space, ancient watchers stirred. They felt the change. They did not welcome it. And the human janitor, once invisible, had become the center of something far greater. Something that would challenge empires. And rewrite the place of humanity among the stars. Ethan was taken to a hidden chamber beneath the palace. The walls there were smooth and dark. Light moved slowly like breathing. He had never seen a place so quiet. Lyra stood beside him. Guards waited at a distance, unsure and tense. No one spoke. Ethan felt the warmth again. But this time it was calm, steady. Like a hand on his back, telling him he was not alone. Lyra finally spoke. "This place is older than our empire. Even my people do not fully understand it." Ethan listened. He did not interrupt. He knew this moment mattered. "The palace was built around something living," she continued. "Not alive like us, but aware. It reacts to certain minds." She looked at him carefully. "And it reacts to you." Ethan swallowed. "I do not know why," he said. "I am just a cleaner." Lyra shook her head slowly. "No," she replied. "You are something forgotten." Before Ethan could ask more, the room darkened. The air grew heavy. Energy flowed through the walls. A figure appeared, formed from light and shadow. Not solid, not illusion. It felt ancient. The guards stepped back in fear. Lyra stood firm, though her breath caught. The figure spoke without sound. Its meaning filled the room. Human mind detected. Compatibility confirmed. Ethan felt memories that were not his. Humans standing among stars. Building, guiding, healing. Then fading into myth. He cried out softly. The truth was too large. Too heavy. Lyra watched in shock. Her people's history had holes. Stories erased. And now she knew why. Suddenly, the chamber doors burst open. Council members entered. Their faces filled with anger and fear. "This ends now," one of them shouted. "That human is a threat." Weapons were raised. The guards hesitated. The palace itself seemed to pause. Ethan stepped forward before anyone could stop him. His voice was quiet, but steady. "I do not want power," he said. "I do not want to hurt anyone." The chamber responded. Light surged around him. Not violent. Protective. The council froze. Their weapons shut down. Systems failed. Fear spread across their faces. They were no longer in control. Lyra raised her voice. "This human saved the core. He saved our palace. He deserves respect." Some council members looked away. Others trembled. The ancient figure faded. But its presence stayed. A message echoed through the palace systems. Simple, clear. Human bond confirmed. Across the palace, alarms stopped. Energy stabilized. The living walls glowed softly. Ethan felt weak and tired. The warmth slowly settled inside him. Like it had found its home. Lyra turned to him. Her eyes no longer curious. They were certain. "You have changed everything," she said. Ethan looked around. At the guards. The council. The glowing chamber. "I only did what felt right," he answered. Far above, the stars shifted slowly. Signals traveled faster than light. News spread beyond the empire. Other civilizations listened. Some with fear. Some with hope. The age of ignoring humanity was ending. And the human janitor, once unseen and unheard, had become the key to a future no one could stop. The palace entered a strange calm after the chamber fell silent. No alarms rang. No guards moved. It was as if the entire structure was holding its breath. Ethan was given a private room for the first time. Not a cell. Not a worker's bunk. A real room with soft light and quiet air. He sat alone on the edge of the resting platform. His hands trembled slightly. Everything that had happened felt unreal. He was still a janitor. At least that was what his mind kept saying. But the palace no longer treated him like one. Outside his door, guards stood watch. Not to imprison him, but to protect him. That alone frightened him more than chains ever could. Lyra stood before the council once again. This time she did not sit. She stood tall, calm, unshaken. "The palace has made its choice," she said. "You can deny it, but you cannot undo it." Some council members argued. Some stayed silent. Fear had replaced pride. "A human cannot stand beside royalty," one of them said. "Our people will never accept this." Lyra's voice did not rise. "They will," she replied. "Because the palace already has." Deep beneath them, the core pulsed gently, as if agreeing. Later, Lyra went to see Ethan herself. She dismissed the guards at the door, and entered alone. Ethan stood when he saw her, unsure of what he should do. "You do not need to bow," she said softly. "You never did." He relaxed slightly. "I feel like I do not belong anywhere now," he admitted. Lyra studied him carefully. That feeling, she said. It is what leaders feel before they accept who they are. Ethan shook his head. I am not a leader. I just clean what others leave behind. She smiled at that. Sometimes that is exactly what a leader does. Silence settled between them. Not awkward. Not tense. Just real. Lyra then spoke words that changed everything. The council wants to send you away, she said. To a human sector, far from the palace. Ethan felt a sharp ache in his chest. He did not know why. But the thought of leaving felt wrong. And what do you want? He asked. Lyra did not answer right away. She walked closer. The palace lights dimmed slightly around them. I want you to stay, she said. Not as a servant. Not as a symbol. But as yourself. Ethan looked into her eyes. He saw no command there. Only choice. I do not know how to live in your world, he said. I do not even know why the palace chose me. Lyra placed her hand over her heart. Neither do I, she replied. But I know what I feel when you are near. The warmth returned. Soft, steady, shared. At that moment, the palace broadcast activated on its own. A message spread across every level. Across every screen. Bond acknowledged. Protector and balance confirmed. The words echoed everywhere. Workers stopped. Guards froze. Nobles stared in disbelief. A human had been recognized by the heart of the empire. The council understood then. Fighting this would tear the palace apart. Reluctantly, they agreed. Ethan would remain. Under royal protection. As news spread beyond the palace, reactions followed. Some worlds mocked the decision. Others feared it. A few watched with growing respect. Human sectors heard the rumors. A janitor. Chosen by an alien palace. Hope began to rise where none had existed. That night, Ethan stood on a balcony beside Lyra. Stars stretched endlessly before them. I never wanted any of this, he said quietly. Lyra nodded. Neither did I. But destiny rarely asks permission. Far away, hidden fleets adjusted their course. Ancient enemies took notice. The choice had been made. Not just by a princess, but by the palace itself. And the human janitor's quiet life was gone forever. Replaced by a future that would test love, loyalty, and the strength of humanity among the stars.